Welcome back, and it's time for us to get into the news review segment, and my guests are already seated. Let me just walk you through some of the topics we'll be dealing with this morning. Of course, you know it's budget day, and so budget is featuring heavily in the conversation. We're also going to be looking at the financial sector cleanup. Court has overturned the BoG's revocation of Ideal Finance's license, and so we'll be looking at delving further into that. And then Bagbin bemoans low representation of women in the cabinet. And so we'll just touch on some of those as the show progresses. All right, but I've been joined in studio by Elvis Darko. He is the editor of the News Center newspaper, as well as Larry Alansdogbe. He's the managing editor for the Herald newspaper. Gentlemen, you're both welcome. How are you doing?
Yeah?
Not bad.
We are fine, thank you.
You are fine, eh?
Yes, please.
Okay, Elvis, how?
And the point is, next week if we come, you are the one going to be here. We boycott the show.
Next week I will not be here.
Good. But if you try to be here, we'll boycott the show.
What about the following week? That's the one that you need to worry about, because the
No,
following
we
week
want the lady regularly. You can handle the others. Yesterday the men came right.
No, the ladies came. Yesterday the men.
Then you can. So you see, when the ladies come, you can handle them. You can handle them. But for this show, let's try and make the woman. The thing should be permanently for the woman.
You can have
but this show is not gender balanced.
No, you can.
This show is not gender
doing
balanced. The show, there must be gender balance on the show. So since the two of us will be coming, then the lady must be here to balance the show somehow. Very important. So the perspective of women on issues are very important. Okay. If she was here, we are going to talk about
but tomorrow there will be two women on the show, and myself will be here. So
that is good. Two women and you is good. That's why two men, there must be a woman. You see the balance. We don't want people to accuse ChannelOne of not being gender balanced.
Are you towing the same line?
Oh yes, I'm with my brother.
I saying,
I thought we were cool like that.
Cool what?
I'm not sure.
Don't let somebody go and write on the internet that City Breakfast is gender bias, only men. It's not fair.
But we're not the only show that has only men on it. There are many other shows
we
that
are interested in our own.
Okay.
Why do you have to care about some other people that are own? What people are doing, why do we care? We care about our own.
Okay, you don't worry, that's the Chris to be here.
Good.
No, the following week I can't guarantee.
No, the following week she must be here.
But you'll be hosting tomorrow.
Yeah.
With ladies as panelists.
Yeah.
You see how? How? It shouldn't be like
That's
that.
Nice. Yeah.
You take the Wednesday with the ladies. You take that show. You to this one to we need a lady.
Then you finish. You deny us time.
Okay, so let's get ready.
Today's budget, so you give us 2 hours. So we're having 2 hours, right?
No.
It's budget day now. We have to talk more about budget.
You have 45 minutes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Today, the most important document in the whole Ghana for 1 year.
Yeah.
No, we should have more time.
You let me read the story so we can make progress.
Thank you.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the smaller stories. Let's get them out of the way. Then we'll have time to discuss the budget in detail. Okay. So the High Court quashes BoG's revocation of Ideal Finance's license. That's an interesting one, considering all that we went through for the various banks to lose their licenses and so on. This story here says High Court quashes BoG's revocation of Ideal Finance's license. Now, the Human Rights Division of the High Court has overturned the Bank of Ghana's revocation of the operating license of Ideal Finance Limited, ruling that the due process was not followed. Now, the judgment delivered on Monday, that's March 10th, 2025, marks a significant victory for the defunct financial institution, which has been challenging the central bank's decision in court. Now, according to the ruling, the BoG failed to exhaust the proper legal procedures before revoking Ideal Finance's license, making the action unjustified. A decision effectively restores the company's legal standing. Now, the background to this was that in 2019, in August, the Bank of Ghana revoked the licenses of 23 savings and loans and finance house companies, including Ideal Finance, GN Savings and Loans, First Allied Savings and Loans, Midland Savings and Loans, and UniCredit Savings and Loans. Now, at the time, the central bank justified its action by citing the insolvency of these institutions, stating that they had failed to recapitalize despite multiple engagements. The move was part of a broader financial sector cleanup aimed at strengthening Ghana's banking industry. However, the court's latest ruling on Ideal Finance's case has reignited debates about whether BoG's actions were procedurally fair. It remains to be seen whether the central bank will appeal the decision or seek alternative resolutions. Elvis.
No, I think that's why the courts are there. That when people take actions and somebody is not satisfied with the action, you go to the court. And the court will determine what has happened. Obviously, the Bank of Ghana took a decision and has a reason why it took the decision. And I think that Ideal Finance is the first one to receive such a judgment. I think Unibank had a similar, at a UniCredit or something, but the Bank of Ghana went on appeal, and I think that. So the point is, this is just a high court decision. There's an appeals court, there's a high court. As to whether the Bank of Ghana agrees with this decision or not is one issue. And as to whether they will appeal it is another issue. But now that we have not seen any indication. But I know that in previous cases, they had actually appealed some of this judgment in previous cases. So it's just a matter of, for today, this is what it is, and that is what we'll talk about. If there's a new development, we'll talk about it again. I am always clear on these banking sector issues. Look, people have gone to put their money in institutions with the trust that when they need their money, they can get it back. But if you read the Bank of Ghana's report, especially, it started from the boldest report. This is what people don't know. People thought the banking sector started under MPP. No. When we applied to join the IMF in 2014, one of the recommendations the IMF, the demands of IMF, one of them was that we should do a stress test on the financial sector, because every economy is all by the financial sector. So they wanted to find out the strength of the financial sector to know if they give us that support, we will be able to use it well and run. When the report was done, it was discovered that for 8 commercial banks, they were just existing on paper. In terms of what is required for them to be called commercial banks, clearly they have gone far, far, far from that. So that report has been there even before we voted in 2016. MPP 1 came in 2017. So this problem of the financial sector has been a long thing that has been hunting us for some time. The previous NDC at that time decision was, they took a different view. According to Setekpe, they look at it from the point of view that, well, look, they think that collapsing these institutions have so many implications for the economy and individuals and the rest. So per Setekpe's revelation, the NDC could not do it at that time because they were scared of the impact for the elections. So the plan was to wait after the elections, then they act on that report, because obviously we have already signed on to the IMF, so some of these conditionalities, we are supposed to implement them. So he mentioned a figure that they estimate that is needed to bail out all these institutions. And that was the approach the then NDC government was going to react. And he mentioned that they were going to borrow about 30 billion cedis at that time to make sure that they handle some of these liquidity issues and see whether it will work. And then there was a change of government. A new government came and said, for us, we think that, one, these owners of this institution have not really run the institutions very well. Because many of them, if you want to account for even depositors' money that is with them, there were issues with those issues. And they also discovered that some of these institutions had already been given bailouts by the central bank. But it appears that the monies given to some of the institutions had not been used for the purposes for which they were given, and therefore they don't see any reason to give more liquidity support, because if some has been given and then they check and realize that it's really not used for the purposes and therefore did not generate the kind of expectation, it's better rather to get rid of those that have problems and reorganize the system so that those that are really in good position should be able to move on. Yeah. Personally, I have had a lot of fights with the central bank officials on this because I was making the argument, look, local banks are important. So if we look at the thing, the whole thing is like it's going to affect a lot of the local banks. That it's important that we look at least maintaining some of them. Couldn't we have an arrangement where some of them will come together? But the negotiations, according to the Bank of Ghana, is that it turns out that almost all of them are protective of their brand. Okay. Many of them are not like willing to say they are coming to join together, and because everybody wants to protect, like, this is mine, this is mine. So it's like the negotiations at the office to actually probably be able to see if they can save some of the banks towards dragging its fate. So at the end of the day, they took the decision that for them, they think that cleanup by closing them down is the best way to go. But the government before them thought that let's go for some money, recapitalize all these issues, and then strengthen regulations and monitoring evaluation to make sure that we do proper monitoring of these issues, that they don't go back to that. So we have to look at it from two perspectives. The bottom line is that there was a problem that needs to be solved. Yeah. But the approach was what was different. Okay. One thing that let's get money, give them more money to this institution, and see whether we can rather strengthen regulation and strengthen monitoring, and then make sure that this thing don't repeat. Okay. Another one says, no, we think that they have been given some support in the past. Some of them who received it didn't use it well, and there was no need to give them another liquid support. So let's completely clear them off. So it's just a matter of differences in approach, but the issue of a problem being there has been there. Yeah. So for me, this ruling, as I said, I don't know whether the Bank of Ghana has any issues with it. We wait to see. But it's good that the courts are making progress. But one of the problems I have with this kind of thing is that this thing happened in 2019. We are seeing a pronouncement only in 2025. Yeah. And then when there's a change of government.
6 years later.
So sometimes I ask myself, why do we let these cases drag so much? I've made the point that you can have 1 year for a case in a high court, dispose of it. If somebody is not satisfied, let him go to the appeals court. They let them take another 1 year. Yeah. Let the appeal court also deliver a judgment within 1 year. If they are not satisfied, the Supreme Court is there. Yeah. If the Supreme Court want to go for review, is there. Yeah. So within 4 years, you would have moved from one state to another for within 4 years. Yeah. But here is the case, you have one case sitting in one court, 3 or 4 years. I ask myself, to what gain? Because see, this is a business issue. See, the potential impact on investor confidence is critical. Yeah. Because if 4 years or 5 years down the line, you are telling me that an institution, that is the financial sector, which is really, really, really very sensitive to information, has been closed down for 4 years, 5 years, and now a court now is now ruling. The question is, what's the brand image? Is the institution going to be able to come back? And all this, why would somebody want to come and invest his or her money if in case there's an issue, it will take this long to resolve? Yeah. So I think that as a country, we need to set priorities right and say, no case should last longer than this period in a court. Because there's a process you can go through, appeals all the way to the Supreme Court. So I think the time it takes us to deliver some of these cases is too long, in my opinion.
Okay, all right, thank you. Larry?
Yeah. Yes. I think that from the point he ended on, do you recall how swift it took to remove Charlotte Osei?
Yes.
Yeah.
I recall.
You recall that? It was so swift. A petition was filed, and then the first one, there was a certain anomaly discovered, and then it was given back to the person who filed. Yeah. It was given back to the petitioner, and then the petitioner then did a refiling. Yeah. The CJ at the time set up a committee, went into conclave, but within a month or two, they were done. They were done. I mean, if we had approached this same matter the same way it is, the same way the other one was, I'm sure we would have quickened everything, okay? So that the number of people who lost their jobs, as a result of that, I'm sure, we wouldn't have gotten
thousands
there.
Of people.
Thousands of people. Yeah. Again, we have a country where a very senior lawyer, I won't mention his name, once told me that anytime election was about happening, the courts behave funny. Yes. a senior lawyer, I'll mention his name, and that suddenly you see certain judgments that, a judge who would have been, giving rulings in favor of the government, suddenly either pause to see which way this whole thing was going to swing, okay, or he will just suddenly, when he smells that the opposition party is going to win, then he will give a judgment that the government doesn't like. Do you get it? The ruling party at the time wouldn't like.
Yeah, I get you.
You get it? And some of these things are beginning to tell me that. Are beginning to confirm what he actually, what he actually said. Now, how many of such cases do we have to deal with now? Suddenly, all the courts know. I mean, in just the people file for review here, they won't get it. Okay, they applied for several things. Sometimes document detailing how some of these decisions were taken. Those documents were not coming. I recall, Elvis, do you recall that Dummy at the point in time wrote a paper saying that some of the revocations that were done had issues? There was, a hue and cry. The government or the same Dummy issued a statement saying that, oh no, that is not what he actually meant, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think so. I remember. I think some people saw the legal opinion. Yeah.
I saw it.
And what came out, it was a leaked document.
Yeah, I saw a copy. We published it at the Herald.
He raised some issues about some of the
revocation.
The process he thought had not. I remember that issue.
So then there was a time when one Justice Abodakwi was sitting on one of such cases during vacation, and he was to give a certain ruling which the Bank of Ghana was not going to be happy about, because he had given so many directives that were not being followed. Just when he was about giving his ruling, then he was transferred from Accra to Ho, and today's Supreme Court Judge, Justice George Kumsin, was made to come and sit over the case now, and he gave rulings in favor of Bank of Ghana. You get it? Here we are, when see this major decision. It is the same banking sector cleanup that we spent over 25 billion Ghana cedis on. And we have been told that the decision that the Bank of Ghana then took were procedurally wrong.
In this particular case?
Yes, in this particular case, I agree with you. And some other cases as well. And how many of such cases do we have to witness? I think the other some others are still in court.
Oh yeah, UniCredit, Unibank, some of them issues are still in court as we speak.
And you ask yourself, from what he narrated, you ask yourself that what was the monitoring and evaluation system put in place at the time, leading us to where we got to. Do you get it?
Yeah.
But most often what we used to hear about is, recapitalization, just recapitalize, and then they were increasing whatever it, what the threshold for the bank.
Yeah.
And most of them couldn't meet it. Others would deploy so many, people to go look for money. In an economy that is struggling, So, when you are sending people out there to do recapitalization, or you need your, monitoring mechanism should be strong. You can't just throw people out there like that. How many people suffered as a result of this, the banking sector cleanup? People's monies were held out for years. Those who couldn't, use whatever their life savings and so on for medication, for the schooling of their wards and all that, their rent, all that. And through the process, people used to say that some people died as a result of, some of these things. Here we are, and that, we are being told by the courts after, evaluating all the facts before it, saying that, listen, some of the procedures that were taken were wrong.
Yeah.
Now, maybe Ideal Finance wasn't doing the right thing. However, in taking your decision, you need to go according to procedure. That is all there is.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you'd have saved a lot of, lives. You'd have, a lot of apprehension and, let's do the right thing. People in this society, and people tend to feel that they are the owners of a certain thing.
Whatever the narrative is.
Yeah, whatever, exactly. You recall how the president then, the finance minister then, the government communicators then, that listen, hey, we did the right thing, but for this, so and so. And what Evans was saying, you had the time to do this, to clean up, and you didn't clean it up because of political expediency and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So because of political expediency, you also took a certain decision which ended up being procedurally wrong.
Yeah.
And see, in this whole conversation about banking sector, we still have not been able to establish people deposit at Bank A or Institution B. What is the total and how much did the government find? Okay.
Yeah.
In fact, Atufosin is in jail not because of the deposit, because of
Atufosin himself.
Atufosin.
Yeah.
But because of liquidity support. The question: how much did the deposit put in that bank? How much of that money did the government actually find? Because the money we said we have used to build the sector is money government has gone to borrow to pay depositors.
Yeah.
Based on their money that have been locked up in these banks that the banks could not pay them. But we are yet to be told that Bank A total deposit was this. When the government did the cleanup, this is how much government has found. So this amount of money is yet to be found.
Yeah.
There's one bank total liability as at the last time I checked was 5.7 billion of depositors' money. Just one institution.
But
one institution. You understand it? So it's really an issue.
Let me chip in this. This narrative can be bereft of the fact that Bank of Ghana had, during a certain period, felt that it was so untouchable. And I'm talking about the Addison period.
Okay.
Addison became more of a politician than a technocrat who was supposed to, deal with a certain situation, manage the economy, and then, help. Because see what you guys are showing now. The building, for instance.
Yeah.
He wouldn't allow any debate on this thing. Addison come and tell us how much this whole thing was going to cost. We never knew about it. He took certain decisions, or the Bank of Ghana then took certain decisions, and then it was to a point where even there was a demonstration against him.
Yeah.
And he called the demonstrators, the MPs, hooligans.
I remember.
You remember?
Yeah.
You are not saying it loud.
I remember.
Yes. So he became so powerful, and you have no idea what.
He said it was misreported. He didn't say
by who.
He didn't use
what did he say?
By the media house that carried the story. And
they played his voice.
He didn't call them hooligans.
They played his voice. Or that one too was also doctored.
That was his response.
That was also doctored. But see, the decisions that he took, regardless of he being, misreported, but the decisions that he took, today we are witnessing it. Where judicial review is showing what it is showing.
But it's only the High Court.
People went to in Parliament the other day. In Parliament the other day, you see what happened. Where we are told that $11 million was to be spent on furniture. We constructed the whole bank. And we never thought of security initially. And so then after the award of the contract, then we said, oh, listen, at this Bank of Ghana, we have to do security, we now have to think of security.
One of the major differences between Bank of Ghana and any other bank is the level of security.
Thank you. So that is at the heart of everything.
That you're setting up?
No, the security was part of it. The scope of the project was expanded. The number of floors and things we were supposed to build from the initial stage had been expanded. So
check whether the floors haven't been reduced. Listen, this story it's dirtier than you think.
No,
it's dirtier. I'm coming. is dirtier than you've been told.
It's not what I'm talking about what he has been presented in Parliament by the new governor.
I'm coming. So then you didn't think of security first. Then suddenly we are having to use how much? 11 point something million dollars to do CCTV cameras. Chief. And the prices, I mean, we moved from $81 million to $130 something million to 200 and something, to now we are talking about $61.8 million for a poor Ghana. And you have paid the contractor, you know, a certain amount of money, and we are left with what? 31 point something million dollars. And nobody is talking. And, you know, we can, you know, this is what it is. And everything went through procedure. And what is the procedure? PPA. We put it before PPA. So anytime we had a variation, we put it before PPA. And once PPA okayed it, but is it from the same PPA that we saw the chief executive buying and selling contracts? He was under investigation. He was interdicted. True or false?
True.
The same PPA.
Go ahead. Just wrap
the
it up.
same PPA.
Wrap it up for me.
So, I mean, you can't tell us that because it went before PPA and PPA okayed it, everything is above board. The same PPA has its chairman being arrested by who? By the former BNI, the NIB.
Yes. For
okaying a certain transaction that has locked up Ghana's $2 million, the SkyTrain thing. So PPA is not like what do you call it? Pope John Paul or Pope Francis, who is, you know, who, because he has his hands on it, means that whatever they are doing is strictly according to the books. The books can be twisted to favor a certain thing, and clearly this is what we have.
That's
no value for money analysis.
So
nothing.
The point is, it's not too late today to still carry out a value for money audit into the project.
How independent is AESL?
No, I'm not saying this. I'm saying that per the arguments you made, it's still not too late to carry out a value for audit into the whole project.
I hope they will.
And I think the governor hinted in Parliament that they are going to look into.
Yeah.
When he presented, he hinted that they are going to take a look at an audit there.
I hope he will.
That's what I'm saying. That now that we
just
all know
for clarification purposes,
we hope that audit will take.
Just for clarification purposes, I never described minority MPs as hooligans, and as Addison is the one who's being quoted here. This is a story we published almost a year ago, April 2024. But there was a protest. So the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, has addressed the controversies surrounding his remarks, referring to some minority MPs as hooligans during the Occupy BoG protest in October last year. He clarified that the reported description did not originate from him, but from the foreign media that initially covered the story. In October of 2023, a coalition comprising of minority parliamentarians, NDC supporters, and various interest groups organized the hashtag Occupy BoG demonstration, demanding the resignations of Dr. Addison and his deputies over allegations of economic mismanagement and unauthorized currency printing. So then it was, in response to the protest, Dr. Addison labeled the demonstrators as quote-unquote hooligans and asserted that neither he or his deputies would resign. But then later he denied that he actually said that. So
I think there was a voice recording at the time.
I think it was one of the foreign media reported and used that word. Okay. I didn't hear the voice.
Okay.
And then they look at me, then we took it up, and then he came out and said,
all right.
He gave an interview, all right, but he never used the word hooligan.
Okay, all right.
Maybe the description he gave, and the people actually suggested
but the media house didn't come out to deny.
No, they didn't come out to respond.
But you see, this revocation was a point of controversy. The building, point of controversy.
Yeah.
Printing, point of controversy. And I think there was some other losses that they made and so on. And all that. I mean, he was all over the place justifying all those actions.
We need to tackle the budget. Okay,
we will.
So we'll take a quick break. When we come back, the budget is up for grabs.